saying that it's okay. Saying that they see this like little boy on a playground every single night and he has nowhere to stay and they give him as much food as possible. Like if we have any leftovers, but it's like hard, or they talk about a widow who lost their husband and they have like five kids and they can't provide for them. And so hearing all these different stories, I felt very useless. And I honestly like felt horrible that they didn't really have the opportunity to gain like a basic human right that would even be food or a place to stay or simple thing like water. So I remember my sister and I in I believe I was in middle school, like eighth grade. Yeah, my sister and I, my first year going into high school, we did like a clothing drive, and we were able to fundraise some money so that we could send it to those families back home in Ghana, and it just became a reoccurring thing. And I realized I had a love for like humanitarian purposes and just helping people in general. I just didn't know how. But I believe that with whatever I started with, like the fundraising and just supporting like children's rights across US borders, was really what like catapulted me into my advocacy journey, just learning how to be an advocate for other people and also providing a platform for those who may not be able to do that themselves was really important to me. And I just started to learn like what issue areas I cared about the most outside of humanitarian issues. And when I started with my student board journey with Awake, it honestly kind of shaped how I approach different problems and which problems I cared about the most. So that's my like, villain origin story. If you have any other questions, you can chat box me. But yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Blessing. Elena or Emmy, either one, go first.
I can go. My name's Elena Smith. I use any pronouns. I'm a rising senior at Innsworth High School. And I think for me, my advocacy journey really started when I was very young. I grew up with my mom was a campaign manager for like local school board campaigns, and she worked on Bo Mitchell's campaign a while ago. So I grew up, some of my earliest memories are standing outside of polling places holding campaign signs, and there's photos of me as a kid doing that stuff, and I remember like playing in the campaign offices and stuff. So I think politics has always kind of been in my blood. And as I got older and I got like social media and stuff, and especially around 2020 when the Black Lives Matter movement started, and I started to see like how I started to see these injustices in the world that I hadn't really seen before. And I started to think to myself, well, my mom had always encouraged me to like stand up for what I believe in and to speak out. And I was like, I saw other people doing it and I thought to myself, well, I want to do that too. I want to help people. And so it was my freshman year. I joined the Awake Student Advisory Board. I heard about it through one of my dad's coworkers. And I think it was really just like a great jumping off point. It gave me so many different opportunities and like outlets to like get further into advocacy. And then from there, I joined a group called Students of Stonewall at the Oasis Center. And I've been working with them since my sophomore year. So this will be my third year on that group. And then last year, I joined the Ed Trust Empower Ed committee, and I was on their leadership committee for a semester, which was great. So I think I don't know. That's really about it. But I want to do social work in college and keep just advocating for people and making the world a better place.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Elena. All right, last but not least, Emmy.
Hi, I'm Emmy. I'm also going to my senior year of high school. Also, just so y'all know, if you see me looking off camera, I'm not currently at home, so there are other people around. So I'm super sorry about that. Um, I use she, her pronouns. I got into advocacy work. I mean, I've always like been around politics, and my parents are both work in nonprofits. That's always been something I've been around. But I didn't so much get into like advocacy work as in like doing stuff for myself until summer 2023, which for me was going into sophomore year. Um, and from there, I like really got into it. At least during the legislative session, I did a protest called the State of the Students Rally, which kind of became my organization, which is called, or group, I should say, which is State of the Students Tennessee. And that's just the idea that organizing should be accessible to everybody. I had really amazing mentors, which I look forward to talking about in a sec, who kind of guided me through the process of doing a rally for the first time. But not everybody has that. You have to know somebody. This is just like a friend that I met one time at like a Shabbat dinner. I'm Jewish. And not everybody gets that opportunity. And the whole idea of State of the Students is kind of making organizing accessible through like resources and free mentorship. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. All right. So obviously we got some amazing people here in the room with us. So we're just going to kick off with our first question of what makes you feel heard and valued by adults in advocacy? Whoever wants to go first.
Oh, Emily, do you want to go first? Oh, okay. Okay. For me, at least what makes me feel heard, especially in just the field of advocacy, honestly, I think with like young people, we have a lot of passion. It's just sometimes we never have clarity of where to direct the passion. So for me, when I just started Awake, I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to serve other people. There was this really big thing about like servant leadership that happened in my house because my parents are pastors. So they spent their entire life just putting their lives like on the line for just community members and sacrificing everything that they have so that other people are more comfortable. And so I think I saw all of that and I saw so much of the work they were doing. And I also felt that I like had something to offer to the world, but I just didn't know what it was. And I had so much passion for it, I just didn't know what it was. And so honestly, for adults, when they give you the platform to talk it out, and a lot talking it out, but I think a lot of things too is like putting your toes in the water and just dipping it in. Sometimes you never really understand why your aunt or an adult might make you do something that cares about you, like, and they know they can see the potential in your heart. But you never really understand why they're making you do something. And you literally have to follow it blindly, but then later on you realize, oh, I was doing all of this and this helped me here, and this helped me here, and this helped me here. And I think that is what I found a lot with the adults that supported me in high school and even early middle school. Sakayla and Kelly who were in charge of like Awake. I remember they would make us do like different workshops and stuff. And a lot of it you would think would be self-explanatory for how to like advocate for yourself or how to help someone understand what an advocate is. But honestly, like going through a lot of those trainings and workshops and um building like your public speaking skills when they would make you do like little exercises and I don't know, all those small things kind of added up. And so it kind of built who you are as a person and like your research skills and how to communicate with other people and how to honestly kind of convey your feelings about a certain topic or what you really care about. And I realized all of those skills were kind of applicable to different like toes I like dip my foot in, you know what I mean? Or water, you know what I mean? But um I think it's just adults being there to listen and also kind of going with I wouldn't say going with the flow, but kind of trusting that the people you are letting into your life to help lead you, trusting that they know what they're doing and they know that you know that you're going to get to like a great spot because of how much they're helping you and supporting you, even if you can't really understand why you're doing it at that time.
Yeah, amazing. Emmy, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sorry. I think that the thing that's been most valuable to me, is just having, sorry, you'll be quiet. So sorry. Is just having people as a sounding board. Seeking advice is definitely something I do a lot, and this is actually a skill I learned at Awake, but like making sure you're researching topics, And that doesn't just mean, so I actually did something around ICE recently, and you can see very clearly I am not a member of the affected populations by the ICE raids that happened in Nashville a few months ago. And so the first thing I did when I decided that that was something that we needed to do, I talked to my friends who are affected at school, and I talked to some adults who like do know more and also know what the advocacy landscape is. I think a lot of being an activist, advocate, organizer, whatever you would like to call yourself, um, is understanding what you know and what you don't. So as an adult, I think the thing or what I would value most from my adult mentors is understanding what I'm asking for, giving me that, and then also being a sounding board for my ideas. So like when I say something like, "Oh, I have this idea," not saying that's bad, do this, saying, "Oh, that's interesting. I wonder how you can incorporate this element, which I know is really topical." Um, Also, I'm gonna go off camera. I'm so sorry. They're
Yeah,
just
Emmy's babysitting right now, so that's what they may have to hop on and off, but that's okay. We're happy you're here. Elena, is there anything you wanted to add?
I definitely agree with Emmy about being like a sounding board for ideas. I think it's really great to be given opportunities, and like obviously sharing opportunities is so important. I think like show, don't tell. You can tell kids as much as you want to. You can tell them to get involved, but if you don't show them how to get involved and you don't give them opportunities, then there's no way for them to actually do anything. But I think like the next step from that is letting them generate those ideas and letting them kind of create those movements and stuff. And I had something else and now I can't remember. Oh, I think in Natalie kind of mentioned this during the presentation, but like so many high schoolers and just young people in general have a lot of things that hold them back from becoming like from doing advocacy work. And I think it's really important to acknowledge like how much we have going on between school and then doing this outside of school and then just all the things like I'll be applying for college soon. Like there's so much going on and I want to be involved, but there's sometimes I've been a part of groups where it feels like they want me to put all my focus and all my energy into that one group and I'm like it's not worth it to uproot everything else in my life just to like every once in a while be a part of this thing. And I think it's really important that you understand what young people have going on outside in their life and you don't make advocacy seem like a privilege because it shouldn't be a privilege. You should be able to do it no matter what.
Yes, such good stuff. Okay, amazing. Thank you guys. All right. Next, we're going to have a little concrete. What is an example of a time you felt uplifted in your advocacy?
I love to go first on this one. And also, I just want to shout out that was a great answer, Elena. Um, this is actually with Awake. Sakayla, I think she's on the call. So Sakayla, prepare for a shout out. But literally, like last week, I texted her, "Hey, I'm doing something on voter registration. I'd love to hear your thoughts, or if you know someone, or because you know that research phase that I talked about a second ago." And her response was, "When can you talk this week?" And we talked on the phone. And what she didn't do was tell me, "Do this, do this, do that." She didn't uproot the project. She didn't take it over. But she said, she helped me refine the idea. She helped me get in touch with people who I knew could help. I think Elaine and I communicated over email recently too, specifically around it. She got me in touch with a nonprofit who's going to be able to help me with it. And that's just kind of like exactly what we're looking for. It's what's your perspective? How can I help? How can I further the idea? How can I get more people involved? And that was just perfect. It was exactly what I asked for, exactly what I needed. So yeah.
Yes, shout out to Kayla. She's here. She says, "Love y'all, so proud and very grateful to be a part of your journeys." So much love. Elena, blessed. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just gonna continue the Sakayla love train because she is my favorite person. I think Sakayla like really took us under her wing and like I think one thing I loved about the Awake Student Advisory Board is that it wasn't meant for people who had been doing this for years. It was meant for people who wanted to start and didn't know where to start. And I think that's so important because a lot of youth want to participate and like Blesson said, like a lot of youth are very passionate. They just don't know what to do with that passion. And I think the fact that Sakayla gave us that opportunity and let especially let my group like just do a bunch of stuff that I'm sure she was sitting there thinking that's not gonna work, and it really didn't. But it was a great learning opportunity, and I think that's what it's all about, is letting youth kind of figure things out on their own. And I think that's really important. And Sakayla is just always there. She always like she wants to know what's going on in your life. I asked her to write me a reference letter like 2 days before the deadline, and she did it for me. And I am forever grateful for her. And I'm going to that camp next week, the one that she wrote me the reference letter for. So shout out Sakayla. I'm pretty sure she's probably the reason I got it. But yeah, Sakayla's great. Just be like Sakayla is my answer.
Valid answer. All right, Bless, and close us out with this one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna add to the Cicala love train. Honestly, a specific moment, I have a ton. Um, but and I don't think one can stand out more than the other. But I think overall, Awake and Cicala, they were like my launching pad for where I am now. Honestly, I thank God every day. And my mom is always mentioning Tequila. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thank God every day that she was brought to my life where I was able to find her and I was able to find the organization of Awake because that was genuinely, I think, the biggest part as to who I became now today. I was able to connect with the Education Trust, Empower Ed as well. In high school, I was able to be connected with the Tennessee Immigrant and Refugee Rights Coalition, Miriam Abafazli. I was able to work with her on a lot of things, and I I was even able to pursue my own like humanitarian effort project that I was started working on in eighth grade. I believe I did a fundraising instead of graduation party after I graduated from high school. I did a fundraiser instead. And I remember calling Sakayla and I was asking her for like tips. And then I also invited her and I was like, can you come to my fundraiser? And she was like, yes. And then I think because of her, I was able to connect with a lot of community members over time in high school. So I was able to invite all of them and just genuinely seeing the people who supported me in the beginning steps of my advocacy journey just stay there and support me on my own individual endeavors was like very empowering. I still talk about it to this day. Even at school, I tell them there's like no better organization. That kind of that I don't know that brought me. I'm still looking for I wouldn't say a replacement, but something to keep me going on on a different side of the country. And I still haven't I haven't been able to find it, honestly. I think when it comes to Awake, like what Elena was saying, they bring you under their wing and they kind of mentor you into becoming who you want to be as an individual, who you or what you want to do as an individual as well. And they kind of foster all of those skills that you already have as an advocate and help you like grow those seeds to like blossom as well. And all of those skills can be touched in different areas and different aspects of where you want it to be touched. Like literally, as I grew up in like the Awake Student Advisory Board, I was able to connect with so many different organizations that helped me sprout my wings and learn different issues and learn how to communicate for those issues and be exposed to different demographics of people. And I think a lot of the skills that I learned there is transferable anywhere. And so I'm just very grateful for that. And there's no specific moment. It's the little moments that come together, if that makes sense.
Of course. Well, so Kayla, I hope you're feeling all the love over there, and we're just so happy to be a part of y'all's journey in any shape or form. So glad to hear that. I did not pay them to say all that. Just saying. Okay, so one more question before we like do a final thoughts. What is maybe not so helpful to y'all as young people in advocacy? Maybe what you've had happen, or just things that if an adult did it, you'd be like, that's not what we want.
I think, and I'm actually feeling this right now. Um, I think when people plaster youth voice or just put like one young person and make it a representation of youth or say something is youth friendly and it's not even being led by youth or I don't it's I think when people kind of take advantage, because they know that right now young people are doing a lot when it comes to change making, and so they take advantage of the youth aspect or a young person being at an event to make it youth friendly or something that's incorporating youth voice, but it's not actually. Um, and I think if you're going to make something or if you're going to plan an event and you actually want it to be youth focused, yeah, exactly. They're exactly tokenizing. Yes. When they're tokenizing that youth aspect. When you're going to make something that's supposed to be like change making and you want to incorporate youth into like the action, you kind of foster them into the planning process. You bring them to the decision ta making table. You allow them to choose the roles they want to play in the event making or whatever campaign you're doing. Like you make it youth centered and don't bring a young person into a panel with like a whole bunch of other older people and say, "Oh, this is like gonna bring in the no, it's not. It's generally the most irritating thing I realize. I don't like it at
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
because yeah, I like I don't like it at all. I realized that because I was so youth focused in Nashville, when I notice people are kind of doing an event and they say, "Oh, this is supposed to be something that is bringing in the youth voice because it I don't know, there's like a young person on a panel or a young person is coming to speak or um I don't know, there's just a face of a young person. They think it's kind of incorporating us, but it's actually not. It's still excluding us from the process and tokenizing or benefiting off of us being there, if that makes sense."
Absolutely. Yes, that's something didn't include in my presentation, but I think was super helpful. Yeah, not tokenizing the young people, but actually incorporating throughout the whole process, making sure their feedback is actually included and actually centered, not just, well, we had one young person speak, so we did our part. Thank you so much for doing that. Yeah. Emmy, Elena, anything to add?
Yeah, I'm so with you, Blessing. Like that was like words that right out of my mouth. I'm gonna go a slightly different route. One experience I've had in Nashville has been a lot of people trying, and this is kind of different side of the same coin, but worrying more about credit over change, and leveraging the youth voice or what we're actually doing because they don't want to do the work themselves, which is kind of crazy. But like, I've had some people say some pretty insane things to me, like trying to shut down even the youth voices in order to promote their own like nonprofit or org or group or whatever it is. Um, and that's just like so out of the blue. And I remember like I heard one crazy thing and I went, like literally like, open mouth shock. And I hope everybody remembers like it's about making change, it's about the movement, it's not about your moment in the light. I like to say that it's not about the moment, it's about the movement. And people can always tell, kids especially can always tell, as Weston said, like if we're being used for the moment in the camera, if we're being used for the headline, we know, and it is immensely uncomfortable. And I know I at least have like a mental list of the people I'm not really interested in working with because sometime I got burned.
Yes, credit over actual collaboration, 100%. Elena, want to close this out?
I agree with all of that. I think kind of going off of like being used, like people using youth just to do their work and stuff. I think sometimes people can kind of overwork youth, and it can be in like genuine, like I want to give you all these opportunities and I want to give you these chances, but I also think it's important to step in and say you're allowed to take a break, or like even just giving youth breaks, especially because like I mentioned before, with everything we have going on, it's can be very hard to keep up. And if you add advocacy work on the outside and there's stuff within that that takes up time during the week, it's like you have an extra set of homework. And I think making advocacy less homework and less of like something that's actually fun and enjoyable, and I love advocacy all the time obviously, but making it something that you can like set aside a time for because it can be very stressful trying to incorporate that into your schedule. Um, but yeah, I think just making sure that you let youth set boundaries too and say like I need a break here or I can't help with this event. And also if they can't help with an event or something, they probably want to, they have something going on, is making sure you don't just say okay, they didn't take that opportunity, that's it. Like keep coming back and keep giving youth opportunities. Don't just say one and done because that's no fun. I want to volunteer with everything, obviously.
Yes, yeah, that's amazing. Super important stuff. Yeah, not overloading and also encouraging boundaries, encouraging break taking. Because if someone's starting advocacy as a youth, then they've got a long career ahead of them. And if we burn them out early and we don't encourage them to take care of themselves early, then we're not ensuring we're having a sustainable movement. So definitely really good nugget of information there, Elena. All right, so we've got 9 minutes left. So I'm just going to open up the space for just any other thoughts you'd like to share with these folks who want to be more helpful with to youth in advocacy, just any overall thoughts, feedback. But thank you guys for being here. Just opening up the floor, whatever you want to share.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something super quickly. I like to talk when I talk about like privilege. And I mean, obviously, I don't think ageism is the greatest barrier any of us will ever face in our lives. But it is a barrier, at least in who's actually listening. You know, like I can talk and talk, but the metaphor I like to use is like we're all born with a megaphone. And some people don't like to listen when you talk into yours. Um, and what I like to say is that, you know, sometimes adults can lend you their megaphone. You know, if you have a platform and you're willing to share it and truly share it, is an uplifting that voice the way it is and not tokenizing it, as Bustin touched on in the last question, then like that's invaluable. And for the record, that's figurative and literal. Melissa Alvarez, who's I think on the Awake board, has literally given me her megaphone several times. So it's like literal and figurative. Give someone your megaphone, you know?
Yes, I 100% agree. And I think too, for me, a big thing that I've had to learn is how to navigate burnout, like Elena was talking about. I started this like very young, and when I started, I went hard. So I was constantly like somewhere at something, saying yes to everything. And I think sometimes it's okay to say no and it's okay to decline, especially if you have to prioritize yourself because it can be easy to get burnt out. There was a certain time, I think it was in my senior year, where I was so burnt out. I did not want to do anything, and that's including school and like communicating with my friends because I had pushed myself so hard with everything. And so sometimes it's okay to say no. If you know that it's going to take too much out of you, or if you keep going a certain direction of like constantly working hard and putting yourself last, then people aren't going to get the 100% that you originally committed. And I think sometimes you just have to decline and take care of yourself because advocacy work is very hard, constantly putting other people before yourself. Like it's selfless, but sometimes it can be hard on you as a person. And I think it's okay for you to kind of take a step back. And like Emmy said, like if you have to give someone else the megaphone and just be there to support. And that still makes as much of a difference than you just constantly working yourself so hard. And I always tell my mom that I love working and I love doing whatever that I have to do, but if I'm not giving my 100% in something, then I'm not gonna do it. And if you know that you're about to commit to something and you can't give your 100%, just don't do it. Recharge and then come back because the opportunity will still be there. Like it will 100% still be there. I'm being so serious with you. Yeah.
Listen, I'm literally going to take that advice like for the rest of my life probably because that's so as somebody who just like takes every opportunity given to them, I definitely need to take breaks sometimes. Well, I was talking to my mom in the car earlier about doing this, and of course, she decided that she was going to share her advice. But I actually was like, oh, that's really smart. So I'm going to pass on what she said. But she was talking about how Sakayla not only connected with me, but she connected with my mom. And she talked to her when she came to things, and she communicated with her. And it's not like reaching out, like sending an email to the parent being like, here's how your kid is doing or whatever. Like, I don't mean that. I just mean like when you see them in passing, like bringing them into the conversation and making them, because parents are such an important part of their child's lives, that if you make them feel comfortable with what their child is doing, then their child will feel even more comfortable. And I know Blessin was saying your mom talks about Sakayla all the time. I'm like, my mom does too, because she's clearly made such a big impact on us that our parents have noticed it, which I think means a lot. So I think just bringing in, and there's people at students of Stonewall right now who do that same thing. My mom always, because I can't drive yet, I'm learning, but my mom always waits in the lobby during those meetings. And at first I was kind of embarrassed, but I was like, when I saw these adults interacting with my mom and making her feel comfortable there, it made me feel more comfortable in that space. So I think that's really important.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes. I think it's such an important part of it. Yeah. Amazing. Well, you guys have been incredible. I hope everyone, all the participants give them some love because they took time out of their very busy schedule. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. And yeah, we've got 3 minutes. So if folks have any questions for our wonderful panelists, if you have any questions for me, that Q&A is open. But if not, we'll head off. So give it a little bit of time. I'm really bad at silence. Can't tell. I'll give it one more minute and I'm going to challenge myself. Okay. Well, I'm going to stick around, but thank you guys so much for being here. Y'all have a good rest of your evening and thanks for joining. I'll send the slides and the recording and an email follow up. Thank you guys. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close it. But Crystal, let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to email me. All right, thanks.